The Duval Rundown, driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, home of the lifetime warranty.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Duval Rundown. Please be joined, as always, on Wednesday, Times Union sports columnist Ryan O'Halloran. You can follow Ryan on his work at Jacksonville.com and find him on social. Right, it's at Ryan O'Halloran, right? I always forget that.
Yes, it is, because you forget.
And you should follow him because he's quite funny. If you have been following him, you already know that. But
well, I was going to say, hey,
anyway.
the reason you don't know my Twitter handle is because you have my phone number.
That's right.
You don't need to at me.
Well, I mean, lots to get to. Ryan, obviously, a thrilling victory Monday night for the Jaguars. One that, I mean, frankly, it seemed like for the first 30 minutes of the game, it was going to be, a bloodbath again on national television, for the Jaguars as an organization. This administration has never had to endure that. But what a win, down 14 to, the NFL's current dynasty, and the Jaguars fight their way back. We got a lot to get to today. We want to obviously peek ahead to Seattle. We want to talk about, where the Jaguars kind of, in your opinion, are they elite? Are they not elite? They've got obviously the best record in the NFL with, some other teams, but no one else is better than 4-1. But let's start with Monday night. Just take us through it. The floor is yours. Take as long as you like. Give us the elements of the game that you thought really stood out to you.
Well, at 14-0, I'm thinking, okay, is the stage too big? Are the Chiefs humming on all cylinders? Yes, they were. But I thought they cut it to 14-7, the Jaguars did. And then they get a stop to end the first half, and they get a stop to start the second half. So it looked like defensively they settled down for a little bit there. The main takeaway from the night is Trevor Lawrence completed 72% of his passes. His interception should have been called back for a penalty, but he showed it. He showed a willingness to scramble for yards against man coverage. He showed a willingness to be hit, and he showed a willingness to say, "Hey, hop on my back. I'm going to help win this game." That doesn't mean anything moving forward. But the second takeaway is Devin Lloyd. Forget about Defensive Player of the Month. He's in Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. He's on that kind of track. So those, if I had to boil it down to two takeaways, and my last one would be, I listed Brian Sexton yesterday, the former longtime voice of the Jags. I said, top regular season wins. He had this in their top 11.
Okay. So not top three.
Not top three. I mean, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Anyways, but so yeah.
I didn't mean to throw you off there.
Well,
top 11.
Yeah, well, one of the things, we didn't tweet 60 times during the game.
No, we did not.
All right, the floor is now yours on Monday night.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think for all the reasons that you stated. I mean, Devin Lloyd, I don't know that in the league that we've seen anything quite like this. I know the Ravens have a defensive tackle, Matabuke, that he was sort of quiet for 2 or 3 years, then had, I want to say, 12 sacks or something like that, kind of out of nowhere. But even that, like, as impressive as that is for an interior defensive lineman to put up that kind of sack total, Devin Lloyd's on pace for like 15 interceptions. And it's not just, in this case, it's not just that he made the interception. It's that it was a 99-yard pick six and a crucial, obviously, moment of the game that leads to a win over the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's incredible what he's doing. But the thing that I keep coming back to is really the staff. I mean, Liam Cohen and Anthony Campanile, and I mean, it's incredible what they've been able to put together. Trevor Lawrence obviously got off to a shaky start, but certainly played very well late. Is this a point for Trevor Lawrence where now you start to see consistent elevated play, or was this, kind of an inconsistent player that happened to get kind of hot late?
Yeah, I think the next two games will answer that one, Hayes. Was that a flash in the pan against Kansas City, or was it the start of something that a quarterback takes the next step, throws with more consistency, doesn't turn it over? I'll point to three throws that should be encouraging. The one is obvious, the drop in the bucket to Brian Thomas for 33 yards. The next pass to Dayami Brown, that was a dart for 13. And then early in the game, Parker Washington, the touchdown, that was not a great route by Parker. He sort of drifted on his route instead of squaring it up. Lawrence saw that, threw it far side where only his guy could get it. Those were three throws that should be encouraging. But, this is a week-to-week league. Seattle's going to have something that Kansas City didn't. And after that, the Rams will have something that maybe give Lawrence some trouble. But I think the quarterback should be encouraging. I mean, he was not good for 4.5 games passing the ball. But he may have found something. Hunter, Thomas, now you got to find out life without Brenton Strange at tight end. So this is all, you start over every Wednesday.
Brenton Strange, I'm glad you brought that up. Big injury. He's going on IR for, he'll miss at least 4 games. How do you think Liam Cohen will go about trying to fill that void? And would you be interested, if you're James Gladstone, in trying to acquire a veteran tight end, or because the injury to Strange seems like it's going to be short term, maybe you just try and ride it out and get through the 4 games?
Yeah, I think they'll try and ride it up for the first 2. Get into the bye, reassess where they're at. It's a big loss. I mean, Brenton Strange had really emerged. He was leading the team in catches, a very good run blocker. But I talked to him briefly after the game. He was having trouble putting his sock on that leg. I mean, that was a hip problem. I look back at it. I asked him how it happened. He said he didn't get hit, so that made it tough to figure out when it happened. But you could see his last play. He tried to run an over route. He pulled up and just bent over. I mean, he was in pain. So I always think when it's, well, he'll only miss 4 games. I mean, that's the best case. If they get some medical reports from, say, maybe more like 6 games, I would scan teams that stink, who have tight ends on expiring contracts, and say, hey, the Jaguars got a bushel full of day 3 picks. We'll give you one of these as a rental. And so that would be on my radar. In the time being, they play a lot of 11 personnel anyways. I would say maybe more of that 6th offensive lineman in those run situations to make it a pseudo 12 personnel.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Let's talk about another big injury that the Jaguars are dealing with. Trayvon Walker obviously was inactive Monday night. But Liam Cohen made it sound yesterday, it seemed like that there was a pretty decent chance that may be able to play Sunday against Seattle. What are your thoughts on whether they'll have Walker active against the Seahawks?
I mean, I think that he'll be active in a limited role. Maybe not full duty. 15 to 20 snaps, 3rd downs, because they need him. That pass rush did not do much against Kansas City. It was their first game of the season without a sack. Mahomes left the pocket a couple of times just to, I'm not sure he felt the pressure coming or not, but there wasn't a lot going on there because they could focus on Hines Allen. When I asked Liam Cohen about that yesterday, I said, hey, how did the club work on Friday? And was it close? And he said, there's still some swelling in there. And he made a good point. This was a surgery. There were stitches involved. So you don't want to have to go out there and those things pop. Now you're having to start over a little bit. I was anticipate him being limited in practice this week and then giving it a go Sunday against Seattle.
So let's take stock of where they are. It's extraordinary. 4-1. There are no undefeated teams in the NFL. So, no one has a better record. And they do have wins over Shanahan and Andy Reid. So it's not like they haven't played anybody. Yeah. They've got a win over Houston, who we'll see starting to, the Texans are starting to resurrect themselves a bit. Where do you kind of place the Jaguars? Do you feel like this is an elite team? Do you feel like it's a good team, or do you feel like it's a bit of a fluke that they're off to the 4-1 start and they're going to, kind of come back to the pack?
I'll go slightly above good, slightly below elite. And I think they're a very good team right now. And you look at their wins. I mean, heck, Carolina's beaten a couple people.
Yeah, good point.
Houston, they've got, they're taking advantage of their schedule. And then you mentioned the 49ers and the Chiefs, two teams that a lot of people had meeting in Santa Clara in the Super Bowl. So, that you can't say, well, they've done it against a soft schedule. I think the Colts have. That's why if I put the Colts and the Jaguars on the same field today, I'd probably pick the Jaguars. So one thing you and I talked about before the game, as we tend to do, is this was going to be the gauntlet coming. They're in the midst of that right now. If they get back from the bye with 5-2 or even 6-1, then they go to Vegas, they go to Houston, they got the Jets, they got the Titans twice. So the schedule does lighten up. And I always thought, could they get to Thanksgiving in contention? Well, now my expectation is that they should. So a long answer to a short question is I do think this is a very good team right now because they take the ball away and they know how to run it. They didn't run it great the other night, but they've established that. Those two things will win anywhere because those two things travel anywhere.
Yeah, great points. And they're protecting Trevor well. They're 5th in the NFL in sacks allowed percentage. So I agree with you. I mean, they've got some flaws, and we'll talk about those coming up. But to your point, if you're leading the NFL in turnover margin, if you're top 5 in rushing, if you're top 5 in sacks allowed percentage-wise, I mean, that's 80% of the battle to winning. And, again, Liam is quick to point out they've yet to play a clean game, which I think is encouraging because I do think they're going to get better as the season goes along. I mean, again, if they stay healthy, they can't start losing a key guy like Brenton Strange and Trayvon Walker. That can't become a pattern where every week you're losing one of those guys. But
and Hainsey as well.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Hamstring for a center? What's just your gut feeling on because my feeling is that I would think he's got a good chance to play through that.
Yeah, and we'll see what the injury report says later today. I saw him after the game on Monday night. He had a wrap around his left calf. So which part of the leg is that? Mm-hmm. So he's a tough hombre. I would, if he is able to practice this week, I would give him a go. But one thing you mentioned, Leon Cohen said, we haven't played a clean game yet. He said, well, those are very few and far between this league. He's pointing to the turnovers and the operational issues, which continue. And to me, it's almost like, okay, are they trying to give too much information to this team when they're at the line of scrimmage or breaking the huddle? Maybe they have to fine tune that. But they're 5th in rushing. They still are 22nd on third down. They're 21st in the red zone. So this is not a finished product, nor should it be 5 games this season on this Jaguar offense. And one thing you pointed out on the radio and also on this show is that Cohen's Tampa Bay offense didn't really get humming until month 2 last year. Well, they're ahead of that curve already. Now, I'm interested to see once he gets 4, 5, 6 games of tape on an opponent, what kind of buttons does he push? What kind of levers does he pull to create some big plays in the pass game?
Yeah, I think that's going to be fascinating to see. And, and you hinted at this, but it's where, I think if there's a concern, and again, they're 4-1, they just beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, soak it up. We're not trying to spoil anybody's party here, but, we have to, look at the good and the bad. The third down is a concern. Now, I do think it can get better on the offensive side of things. Maybe defensively it can, and the takeaways are certainly masking, this is an issue. But being 22nd on third down in the league at 38.1% offensively and being 30th in the league defensively on third down, allowing 47%, basically being minus 9 percentage points on third down, boy, I wouldn't think that's sustainable if that holds for 17 games. Eventually, that's going to come back and cost them some football games. Yeah, and particularly third and short for this offense. When they didn't make it the first time against Kansas City, I had them as 6 of 17 on 3rd and 1 to 3.
unacceptable. And sometimes I think that they should maybe concentrate more on your run game on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. And I don't mean the quarterback, because that did not work at the goal line. You have 2 rookie running backs who, if you said, go run through that brick wall and all you get is a mouth guard, they would do it. I would start using Allen and more on those 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2s, because with this offensive line and these running backs, if you can't get a 3rd and 2, you don't deserve to continue your drive. You should punt. So those are interesting numbers. 3rd down on defense, that is a concern. And then 3rd down offense, they just got to be better on those shorter yardage, and that'll help that percentage.
Yeah, and I do understand that. Look, a lot of teams that go up against Kyle Shanahan and Andy Reid, you're probably not going to be great on 3rd down when that's 40% of the games that you've played defensively. So I do understand that. I think it can get better. I'm curious about, as we now start to, kind of wrap where they are and start looking at Seattle. What is something that you think that they can do if they don't have Trayvon? Do you blitz more? Because Ogba and Smoot, I think, has actually had a good year. But I was surprised Ogba logged more snaps than Smoot.
Yeah.
And Ogba really doesn't look like he has much left.
Yeah, and you don't know if Ogba would have even been active because they are starting to use Gardeck as an edge guy on 3rd down. That's a pass rusher. He's a linebacker. Do you give BJ Green a little bit of a run? He didn't play any snaps on Monday night. He's the rookie. He's been active for 2 games. Last time they blitzed a lot, they sort of got burned by it. So they really have throttled down on that. And, when you don't blitz Devin Lloyd, he's intercepting passes. So I think there's something in play there. But big picture for you, and I'll sort of change the subject, but I want to get people might say, well, why are you guys being so negative? You're 4-1. But look at all the 4-1 teams in this league right now. Buffalo's in a panic. They can't stop anybody. San Francisco's banged up. Philadelphia's offense is broken. Tampa Bay is having to win nail biter after nail biter, and they blew the Philadelphia game. And then you look at the
Colts have played no one.
Colts have played no one, and Detroit's losing guys left and right on defense. This is the NFL.
Yeah.
When you're 4-1, that doesn't mean everything's going great. And you pointed the 3rd down. I'll point to the downfield passing game. Every week there's a little bit of a leak you have to plug. And in this league, it's the teams who do it best. The teams have the most depth that continue to win. That's the Jaguars' challenge moving forward.
Yeah. Let's look at Seattle, but Jacob Simon's kind enough to help us out. He does a great job. He's the technical brains behind Duval Rundown, so really appreciate Jacob's efforts in making this happen. Jacob, let's say hello to our sponsor, please.
I'm Rick Ballou, Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside, proud partner of the Jaguars. Drive with confidence. Every new vehicle comes with our exclusive lifetime warranty. 7030 Commonwealth Avenue or online at jackswest.com.
So, Ryan, as we start to peek ahead to Sunday, I think this is an incredibly difficult game for the Jaguars. Now, Darnold was here last year with the Vikings and looked awful in what was a great season for him, but did not play well here last year. But you look at what Seattle is doing defensively. You look at Darnold, over 70% completion, Jackson Smith and Jigba having an incredible start to the season. Their young receiver, and Seattle's special teams are fantastic. They're 2nd in punt return, 2nd in kick return. So all 3 phases for the Seahawks really working well. They're coming off a tough loss, 38-35 to Tampa Bay. But Seattle's a team that's 2-0 on the road. They've already gone to Pittsburgh and gotten a win. I think this is absolutely a coin flip game, despite Seattle having the long trip. That kind of negates the Jaguars being on a short week. But I think a big challenge here for the Jaguars on Sunday. What's your initial impression of the Seattle Seahawks?
Yeah, they're a good team. And they lost to Tampa Bay because Darnold's pass hit the helmet of a Buccaneer and got intercepted. Tampa kicked a field goal as time expired. Yeah, I would assume Seattle flies in Friday night. They're used to doing this West Coast to East Coast thing. But you look at their numbers, they're 3rd in yards. They're first in yards per pass attempt, which means they're big at making big plays. They're fifth in scoring. You flip it up. They got 11 guys without a half sack this year, with a half sack. So they can come from all angles. They're third against the run. They're sixth in red zone. I mean, this is going to be a tough game. And because the letdown is in play for the Jaguars, the short week is in play for the Jaguars. And then one thing that you and I have talked to guys about for years is the pre-London trip game. Has always been a hiccup because you're worried, okay, where's my passport? How long am I going to have to pack? What's my family going to do?
What kind of money do I need?
Yeah. And, how do I get international Wi-Fi? We never had problems with that.
Where can I go to get sweet tea?
Oh, people do some of these inside jokes. But, I think we made, 4 trips over there with the Times Union. And it basically controls all of your thinking leading into the previous game because it is a long trip. So that's Liam Cohn's challenge this week is make sure these guys have their eye on what the Seahawks are doing.
Well, and frankly, it's a great point with Liam because a lot of the roster – it'll be, I say a lot, 30% of the roster, it'll be old hat for them. They've, for a lot of these guys, they've gone over several times. So maybe that aspect of it isn't as critical as what it's been in, 5-6 years ago. But for Liam and his staff and for Gladstone, it's the first time they've done it, as a staff. And so it does make you wonder, about how they'll handle it. Logistically, the Jaguars will be fine. They know this trip like the back of their hand now. And like I say, if you're Josh Hines-Allen, if you're Trevor Lawrence, if you're a player that's been with the Jaguars for 3 or 4 years, then you know what you're getting into. But yeah, it is interesting from a prep standpoint for Liam Cohen and his staff. But so it will be interesting to see. By the way, I saw the Rams are playing on the East Coast this week. So are the Rams basically, I think they're at the Ravens. Are they going to London?
I'm not sure what they're doing. I've not read it. But if you remember, I think it was 2017, they played here before going to London, and they actually practiced at UNF that week. I'm pretty sure they practiced in Jacksonville.
Okay.
So, some teams want to get over there. Like the Broncos and the Jets are playing this week. They're already over there. Yeah. Other teams want to get there as late as possible. I disagree totally with landing on Friday morning because I don't care what kind of charter jet you take. I disagree with that travel plan because it's just not enough turnaround time. But yeah, this Seahawks team, Sam Darnold, 3rd in quarterback rating. That said, if the pressure gets to him, he's like most quarterbacks. Yeah. And so I think
he doesn't move well.
Yeah. So get him on the run a little bit because he won't be able to get a lot of yards and maybe you make some mistakes that way. So I do think this will be a nail biter game.
Yeah, I agree. And really quick, and I appreciate your time. The Seattle defense, it's interesting. Not a lot of household names, but boy, they play well as a unit. We may have lost Ryan, so we're going to leave it on that thought. But appreciate you guys watching Duval Rundown. We will be back on. Oh, there we got him back. You there?
Yeah. This computer decided to update Chrome on its own.
Okay.
That's all why right. I always
no big deal. And we've gone too long anyway. But just I'll finish your thought on the Seattle defense. Not a lot of household names, but they play well collectively.
Yeah, and so this Jaguar offense is going to have their hands full. Okay, where are guys rushing from? Leonard Williams is an outstanding defensive tackle. And he probably tries on more than a couple plays a game. Chris Jones didn't even bother trying on that touchdown play. Yeah. So if I had to make a pick right now, I would pick the Jaguars in a 24-21 type game.
Yeah, I agree. That's sort of what I see as well. And I can't wait to see the environment. Obviously, the fans were incredible Monday night. But I'm curious if this will be like the Seattle game in 2017 where they came in late in the year. Mm-hmm. And that was really the first time that this, I think that was a 4:30 start. I think
it got flexed to a 4:30.
Yeah, and that was an electric crowd. And again, now that the team is 4-1, best record in football, I'm excited to see what the environment's going to be like on a consistent basis.
Yeah, real quick on that. This is the last home game for a while.
Yeah, good point.
London by road. So, I'm not stumping for the team here, but make it a good environment. I mean, because it was
absolutely.
Monday night.
That's right. Yep, absolutely. Well, Ryan, great stuff. Give us an idea of what's coming up on Jacksonville.com that you'll have.
A couple columns this week. One thing is Liam Cohen, Coach Cooper Kupp. So that's an interesting angle I'm going to pursue. We hit on the pre-London stuff. I am going to talk to us. I am going to reminisce about that Seattle 2017 game, which ended with a Seahawks player trying to jump into the stands. And then also, what do they do at tight end? Where does Tyson Campbell go from here? Sort of just, these are sort of my random thoughts is when you're going against the Seattle passing game that's so highly rated. If I'm the Seahawks, I go right after number 3.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Liam Cohen will meet with us later this afternoon, and it'll be fun to start getting his thoughts on what is one of the best matchups in the league, coming up in week 6. So Ryan, great stuff. Look forward to seeing you later today. And we'll be back next Wednesday to get your thoughts on the Seattle game and peek ahead. Are you going to London?
I'm not.
Okay.
I got Florida, Mississippi State a week from Saturday, fella.
Here we go. The Gators. Don't let Billy Napier get hot.
Hey, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. As Billy likes to say.
Hey, we may see the Longhorns again. I don't want to get too far into, our pass rush, what worked against Arch, because we may see them again. Anyway, that's
if Liam Cohen says that, we know he's joking, so we'll say, "Ha, that guy, that's a funny guy." When other coaches say it, the hell are you doing?
Yeah. But anyway, great stuff, Ryan. Always appreciate your time. And again, give Ryan a follow on Twitter at Ryan O'Halloran, and be sure to check out his great work at Jacksonville.com. And buddy, I'll look forward to seeing you later at Liam Cohen's press conference.
All right. See you later, pal.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching Duval Rundown. We will be back on Friday with Rick Ballou. Have a great day. Enjoy it. Your Jaguars, best record in football.